How did a tiny force of Greek warriors manage to hold back the largest army the world had ever seen? To conquer Greece and avenge his father's defeat a decade earlier at the Battle of Marathon, Xerxes' army was a spectacle of imperial power, a multinational force drawn from every corner of his vast empire. Ancient historians like Herodotus put the number in the millions, but modern estimates, while more conservative, still suggest a force of at least 100,000 to 300,000 soldiers. It was, without a doubt, a terrifying sight. Meanwhile, the Greek city-states were a fractured bunch, constantly bickering amongst themselves. But the threat of Persian annihilation forced them to form a shaky alliance. The answer lay in a narrow coastal pass known as Thermopylae, which means the hot gates, named for the nearby hot sulfur springs. This was their strategic masterstroke. The pass was so narrow that at its tightest point, only a few men could fight side by side. This would effectively neutralize the Persians' overwhelming numbers. It didn't matter if you had 1,000,000 men, if you could only send a handful into the fight at a time. This was the choke point where the Greeks would make their stand. Commanding the Greek forces was the Spartan king Leonidas. Now, let's talk about the Spartans. Sparta was a society built for one purpose: war. From the age of 7, every male citizen was forged into a disciplined, fearless soldier through a brutal training regimen called the agoge. For a Spartan, death in battle was the highest honor. Leonidas, a veteran of this system and a respected king, was the perfect man for this seemingly suicidal mission. He personally selected his 300 men. But these weren't just any 300 Spartans. According to the law, he chose only men who already had sons to carry on their family lines, a grim acknowledgement of the mission's likely outcome. But it's a common misconception that it was only 300 Spartans. While the Spartans formed the elite corps, the total Greek force was closer to 7,000 men, including Thespians, Thebans, and soldiers from other allied city-states. Still, they were catastrophically outnumbered. As the Persian army arrived, they were confident of a quick victory. Xerxes waited for 4 days, expecting the Greeks to see the size of his army and simply flee in terror. He even sent a messenger demanding they lay down their arms. Leonidas's legendary reply, Elaine Labe, which translates to come and get them. The phalanx was a wall of shields and spears. The Greeks, with their heavy bronze shields, helmets, it was a brutal, efficient meat grinder. Sent his best troops, the elite immortals, a force of 10,000 hand-picked warriors. The bodies of the fallen piled up, creating an even more gruesome obstacle for the attacking Persians. The morale of the Persian army began to crumble. How could this be happening? The turning point came not from the front, but from betrayal. A local Greek named Ephialtes, hoping for a rich reward from Xerxes, revealed the existence of a secret mountain path that bypassed the hot gates. This was the Anapeia path, shepherd's trail that would allow the Persians to encircle the Greeks and attack them from behind. And prepare to fight another day, saving the main force to defend the rest of Greece. But he, along with his 300 Spartans, the 700 Thespians, who voluntarily chose to stay, and about 400 Thebans, would remain. This was no longer about winning the battle. It was about sacrificing themselves for the future of Greece. The final day of the battle was a scene of pure, desperate heroism. Attacked from both the front and the rear, the remaining Greeks were surrounded. Leonidas fell, and a fierce fight erupted over his body as the Greeks refused to let their king's remains be taken. They fought with spears until their spears shattered, then with swords until their swords broke, and finally with their bare hands and teeth. They retreated to a small hill within the pass and fought to the very last man. According to Herodotus, they were eventually overwhelmed by a storm of arrows. As the Persians were too afraid to close in for hand-to-hand combat against these ferocious warriors, in the immediate aftermath, the Battle of Thermopylae was a tactical defeat for the Greeks. The Persians broke through, marched south, and even sacked the city of Athens. It seemed like the sacrifice had been in vain, but the story of Thermopylae became a powerful rallying cry that inspired all of Greece. The delay Leonidas bought was crucial. It allowed the Athenian navy to prepare for the decisive naval battle at Salamis, where they would crush the Persian fleet. This naval victory cut off the Persian army's supply lines, eventually forcing Xerxes to retreat. The legacy of Thermopylae is immense. It became the ultimate symbol of courage against overwhelming odds, of sacrificing for freedom and the greater good. It's a story that has echoed through millennia, testament to the idea that even in defeat, a stand for one's principles can change the course of history. Thanks so much for watching. If you found this story as fascinating as I do, be sure to hit that like button and subscribe for more deep dives into history's most epic moments